Well, here we go. Jazz hands. Jazz hands means we're here. We're live. We're here. We're here. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens out there in Facebook land. It's me, your old friend, your old pal, your old confidant, Mr. Christopher Hughes. And, well, I'm here with the beautiful, the delightful, the talented, the charming, the exceptional, the extraordinary, Yasadera. And Yasadera and I have an announcement to make. Do you want to tell them?
I've been asked, finally. Right before the big four. Jazz hands. We're getting engaged.
Oh my God, we're getting engaged.
Actually, like this ring is yours.
Well, it was mine. You bought it. Now it's yours.
We won't tell that I bought it. That's like really pathetic.
Well, it's a modern engagement.
Okay. Where you finance everything you want yourself.
Exactly. Well, a good friend of mine said to me, you marry the man, not the jewelry. So you can always upgrade the jewelry.
But you can't upgrade to man.
Well, she was a little old-fashioned. She had some modern ideas, but she's a little old-fashioned. But she's been married to her husband for 40 or 50 years, and she still calls him her boyfriend, not her husband.
I love that. Amazing.
So
we're going to talk about engagement, engaging, not the ring-a-ling thing, but more like, I was really curious, Chris, because like I've seen you do like a lot of things also with Right Voice for You classes and talking also about engagement and how, you know, how we often think like, oh, I have to bring myself out to the world. I have to like show up, or I have to present or promote. And then there is this thing where you can actually see like, hey, how can I actually be that? What will create engagement with my audience?
Yep.
How do I engage? You know, like also at the moment with everything going on, everybody going online, how do you engage your audience? So I was wondering what chat we can have about that.
So I'll give you a little bit of background. Like when I started Right Voice for You, like so many of the great things in my life, it kind of occurred backwards. Like I didn't necessarily go, yes, I'm going to do Right Voice for You. I'm going to become a facilitator. It was just sort of like, that's not how it occurred. Mr. Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, who any of you know, this magical, mysterious wizard, we were having a drink one day and he said, I need someone else to lead Right Voice for You. And then he looked at me and he said, you do it. And I went, only one problem. I've never been to a Right Voice for You class before. And he said, don't worry, you'll be fine. So what I did was, and hello, everyone out there. People are saying hi to us. Rita and Dowie are saying hi to us. So what I did was I downloaded the very first Right Voice for You class that Gary ever facilitated. It was in Queensland here, where I'm in Australia, and it was called Expanding the Creative Base of Your Life.
Wow.
That's what it was called at the time. And when Gary started the class, I was listening to it, and this was like 10 years ago or more. He said, the thing that you all have to get about this, and if you want to be a speaker that people remember, is you've got to create a sense of engagement with everybody. And nobody asked him about that.
I just wanted to ask you, like, did you ask like what? Because like you have to create like a sense of engagement. Like, have you asked him like, what do you mean? Or like if I would ask you, like, yeah.
We've talked a lot about it, because I called him straight up after hearing the recording and I said, so what do you mean by engagement? And we've looked at it from a lot of different angles. Essentially, it's where you create the kingdom of we. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's something we talk about in Access, where there's this simultaneous gifting and receiving, where you are there and you're present for what's going on in your life and the people that you're interacting with. You're there and present for them and you include you in the computation.
Wow. Yeah. So your audience feels included.
Yeah, and you're included too. Like a lot of people go out there and they interact with people, but it's as though they're gone. There's this wall of separation. But this, what we're talking about here with engagement, is where you're there and totally present for the people that you're with, but you're also a part of it. You are there as well. Like when I grew up, that was always something I struggled with. I had this super intense experience of the world. Like everyone's thoughts, their feelings, their judgments, their pain, what was going on in their life was like really full on and intense in my life. But I never felt like I was there. Like I always felt super separate.
Wow.
And engaging is erasing that, where you allow everyone's world to be a part of yours and your world to be a part of theirs.
So I can hear some people thinking that are watching this now is like, yeah, that sounds like a really great idea. Now, how do I get there?
Okay, so when you're facilitating Right Voice for You classes, because Yasudera here is one of our facilitators of Right Voice, how do you facilitate that? How do you show people the how, quote unquote?
Yeah, one of the ways is to first start to notice when you do it, because when it's like such an automatic system, like what I've noticed also for myself, like it's like some things are so automatically that you don't even like you only notice it after, or you like, you know, it's this moment when you get to know it's like, oh, this is where I'm actually doing something that's not actually including me or including them. And so one of the things that I've been playing a lot with to change this was like the exercise with barriers, to actually
Mm,
really start to look because like you've been a performer as well, like I've been like performing for 15 years, and there were so many things that I learned that I needed to be on stage, but I never actually learned to like just, hey, who can I be here today and what's possible with my audience and with the music. And so part of that, like learning to see like, wow, so how many protection systems do I have running right now when I'm on stage, like, and then really lowering those walls, like what I've seen for myself, but also in classes, it's changing things on a dime. And people, like, you're for yourself on stage, you have this experience that changes like right away, but it transforms like every single person in the room. And so this is also something that I've been working a lot with teachers with as well, for example, because like when you're a teacher, like your audience, like there is no sense if they don't receive, right? If you give them information and your kids don't receive it, what's the point of being there and talking? So that's
totally.
that's the one I like to use. And for the people that are looking, basically like this, like when we talk about barriers, it's more like kind of energetic walls. You don't see them, but like mostly of the time, everybody, including yourself, might notice that there is this thing that you cannot get through, it seems. And
Mm.
so you can
This,
just push them down.
yeah, it's that sense of separation that sometimes we have, where when you're with somebody and you have no points of view, no arguments to overcome. It's just really easy, and you feel, for lack of a better word, connected. That's that sense of engagement. And then, like, say you're annoyed with somebody or you've just had a fight or whatever, and then there's this sense where even though physically you're close together, there's like major walls between you. That's what this is facilitating, that sense of closeness. And the other way that I could explain it to people is, if you've ever been to like a really amazing performance or a concert, and you leave feeling like they were singing or speaking just for you, but there were thousands of people in the audience.
Wow.
That's something that's created through a willingness to engage with everybody.
I thank you so much for this conversation. I knew like before I was not sure what we were going to talk about, when I was like really excited to like, okay, cool. What can we have like a conversation to also learn? Like also for my, when you have conversations, how you can get like things to a different layer and a level, like, oh wow, okay, that's also what it's creating. That's also what's like, wow, that's a piece of engagement that I'd never been looking at. That's
Mm.
actually a willingness to show up, which creates the engagement, which will also change. Like, you know, when you leave a concert room where somebody has been willing to be that on stage, it's like it's changing everything. It changes like the whole night with the people you're with. It changes your life, and it's like this thing that runs through your week or months after. Wow.
And the cool part about that is that that person on stage was being something for you, but they were also being it for them.
Mm.
And that's that thing where we were talking about the including you in the computation or in the conversation or whatever you want to call it, that magical thing that occurs when we interact with each other.
Yeah.
And that's pretty exciting. So, and I'd like everyone out there to have a look at what they've decided or how many people they've decided they can engage with at once.
Wow.
Someone is out there saying, let's make concerts happen again with audiences, please. Yeah, that would be awesome. What would that take? And what if there's an audience right now where we have this broadcast occurring right now to thousands and thousands of people potentially now and in the future?
Yeah.
It's like, what if the great gift of COVID was we actually have to use these tools of technology to engage with as many people as are willing?
But it's interesting, the question you asked, right? Like, with how many people have you decided you can engage? Because also, like, sometimes in a relationship, you see that how it's like this attempting to do something exclusive between two people, but then it's like a created reality, because you're always like, there is so many more energies and people usually involved in a relationship that will always be energetically present. So if you refuse to act, if you only have this thing like, no, I just want to engage with one person at a time, or that's how I do relationship, how much of yourself also do you have to cut off to make that real? And does the other person kind of like has to cut off to make that also like?
Yeah, well, that sort of comes up with the other thing that I talk about a lot, and for any of you who've done the Right Voice for You 3-day class with Access Consciousness, in the manual, I've included something from the foundation class with Access, which are the 5 elements of intimacy.
Yes.
Which are all about that. And for those who don't know them, the 5 elements of intimacy are honor, trust, allowance, gratitude, and vulnerability. And if you're willing to have those 5 different energies with everybody and everything, including yourself, engagement takes on a whole new life.
Wow.
Like, if you are truly willing to be vulnerable, grateful, have allowance, honor, and trust with everything and everyone, every molecule. Molecules are actually smaller than what I just showed you, but I can only go so far.
But that's incredible, because that's the thing, like, because with the other, like, one of the other access tools is like also like the who does this belong to, where you're like, how many times do you not have, like, you don't have like allowance at all with your awareness? You're aware of something and it's uncomfortable for your body, and like, how long does it take, like, before you go crazy, or you're like, I can't change it, or it's like allowance is gone in like a split second.
Totally. And if you're aware of something that is making you uncomfortable in your body, how many different energies are you engaging with that you're not acknowledging?
Wow.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Any time. Wow.
Like, have you ever walked into a room where the people there have just had an argument?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
what's going on? And everybody's like, hi. You're like, hi. Yeah.
Something funny's happening here.
Yeah. But apparently not. Or
not very funny.
Yeah. Wow. That's like, and how many energies do we engage with at any moment, everywhere you come, everywhere you are? Ah. Amazing. Yeah.
And how many of those energies have you defined as good and not good to determine what you will engage with and what you won't? Because there's this idea that like if you engage with something, you have to commit to it or own it or be a part of it, but you
Or
don't.
change it, or
Yeah,
dump it, or yeah.
or fix it.
So that's where like one of the 5 elements come in: allowance. You don't need to do anything with whatever you're aware of. Wow.
Totally. And
Ah,
honor, because if people have shit going on, and you've got to honor their choice to choose what they're choosing,
wow. Yeah.
and honor your own choice to choose what you're choosing. Like we so often try to fix things in our lives. Like we go, this is my problem and I'm going to change it. I'm crap with money. And we're using judgment to try to determine what's wrong with us to fix it. Whereas if we said, I'm crap with money, how much crappier can I be? How great that I'm crap with money, and enjoyed it and had allowance for it, that would actually open the door to choice.
But also with other people, right? How many times do we have like a judgment, like if somebody feels sad or bad, or like on the verge of like I don't want to live anymore or whatever, that you're like, oh, but my engagement needs to be like, because I know I can change it, I need to help them or whatever, rather than be like, well, okay, you like, I'll be present with the choices you have to make. And that's, yeah, being that, wow, that's like such a total different level of engagement where you actually allow yourself, but also the other people in your life to choose whatever they have to choose. Gosh. Thank you so much, Chris, for taking the time for this conversation. Because there's so many little like nuggets in there.
Exactly.
Wow.
There is. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, I want everyone to know where to find you. So I'm just going to put your website here at the bottom of the screen. So everyone out there in Facebook land, whether you're finding us through the Right Voice page or my page or Yasu's page, here is Miss Yasudera Romero Fernandez.
See?
Her website. Go check her out. She's got all kinds of cool things going on. And she's in Europe mostly. You're based there usually, yeah?
Yeah.
And Yasudera facilitates lots of different things. So if you're interested in finding out more, please get in touch with her. Right Voice is such a cool thing in my eyes. I know I'm biased, but we have all of these different people that come to these tools in different ways, like how I described engagement today, and you might, and somebody else might, are totally different.
Yeah.
And no one's right. It's just, I don't think I've ever described engagement the same way twice.
No, that's one of the things I love about, like, how we sometimes think, oh, we need to go to a class because the facilitators is going to give something, but it's not like, the more I'm like actually creating with these tools, it's like becoming so clear that everyone coming together, like no matter if it's 2 people or 20 people or 5 people, will bring their energy, their space, and their consciousness, and that's what's going to create what's available. And it's, wow, that's so cool. So
yeah.
What
I tell people is when they come to my classes is I always say, I'm willing to be the shittiest facilitator you've ever had. And I will not deliver anything you're not asking for. I consider myself a glorified doorman. And I will only open the doors you ask for.
I love it. I'm still in the phase that I work a little harder. But I'll get there. Chris, thank you so much. And yeah, there are a lot of facilitators, so please take a look at the Right Voice for You page also on Access Consciousness. You can find, I think it's rightvoiceforyou.com probably, where you can see all upcoming classes with all our colleagues as well. And there's 1-day classes, intros, there's 3-day classes. Well, we need to get you off your island so we can have like a facilitators class. Yes! We're going to organize a boat for all the Aussies to smuggle you off and back in without any notice.
Oh, we're on an island. It's a big island of Australia, but we are on an island and we're not allowed off apparently.
It's time for Star Wars. Like maybe like the UFO thing is not such a bad. What will it take for that to become a reality so we can just move you out and in without anybody noticing?
Completely.
Thank
But
you so
in the
much.
meantime, you can find us online. So there's Miss Yasudara's website. And as she said, if you Google Right Voice for You and Access Consciousness, you'll come up with, there is a page on the accessconsciousness.com website about Right Voice for You. It's a long, funny link, so I didn't make a banner of it. But
Go and find it. There
if
are
you want
incredible
it,
people.
you'll go look for it. If you don't want it, okay.
Don't.
Love you anyway.
Bye, Chris. Thank you so much.
Bye, sugar. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.